How's it going, everybody? This is akathecoot with an Ezreal ranked game for beginners. I like to play Ezreal in the traditional AD carry sense. I don't do too many things different with him outside of a couple different things I do with his build, but outside of that, we'll get to his moves right now. His passive is hitting a target with any of Ezreal's abilities, increases his attack speed by 10% for 6 seconds. This can stack up to 5 times. So, that's pretty self-explanatory. His Q is his Mystic Shot. Ezreal fires a bolt of energy, dealing physical damage that applies on hit effects. Basically, it just is a skill shot you use to hit the enemy. And if you hit the enemy with it, it reduces the Mystic Shot time by a second. I'm eating a donut, by the way, that's why I sound like food. Anyway, Ezreal's W is it's basically the same kind of skill shot, except it fires using magic damage. And allies hit by this have their attack speed hasted for 5 seconds. So this actually goes through enemy minions and goes straight to the enemy champion that you're trying to hit. So it's good in combination with the Q. You'll see that later. E is a teleport that he has. I won't go into all the little details about it, but you teleport and it does magic damage if you're close to a nearby enemy. So that's a good initiator or a good way to get away from things. And of course his ultimate, he channels it for a second and then he shoots a global missile that does magic damage and does less damage for each unit it hits. This is really good because obviously it's a global, and 2, it does some pretty extensive damage towards the end of things. Like the beginning of any AD carry game, it's all about getting the CS. There's not going to be an AD carry that doesn't need CS, so you can just expect to hear me say that over and over again. But as you'll see, I get some good poke in here, and you're going to want to harass people early, especially somebody like a Vayne who can do a good amount of damage. So I go out there, try and put some damage on her, and see what I can do early game. Crack open a beer here. There we go. Now I'm set. Here you can see a good example of having a flash early. That's not what you want to do, but you know what? When you got to flash early, you got to flash early. There's not much you can do about that kind of thing. So if it's something you got to do, do it. People get all pent up about you keeping their flash and doing that stuff, but I mean, hey, it saved me from having to die right there, and that's what's important. If Vayne would have followed up that Taric right there, I'd be dead. It's a good thing she didn't. But as you can see right there, I teleport over to where she's at and then drop a few moves on here. I'll slow it down when I get to a point where what I'm doing is actually useful, but up to this point it's all about basically just trying to get as much CS as you can. Ezreal's not the type of character that's going to be doing some crazy burst damage right in the beginning of the game, so taking a slower route and trying to get some hits on things is definitely the way to go. Here you can see just the full-out onslaught that he has to offer. Since she goes and decides to focus, I believe that, yeah, that's Loki. Since she tries to focus Loki, that just leaves me all the time in the world to just drop the skill shots on her. Once again, Ezreal is a skill shot champion. Do not play this champion if you don't have the ability to hit people with skill shots, or unless you want to learn how to do that. I love skill shot champions. I find them to be the most entertaining. They take the most skill, and they're the most satisfying when you get things done. So that's why I play those. Like everybody cares, huh? I start out with Boots because Doran's Blade with him doesn't really do a whole lot for me, and usually I'll lead right into the Vampiric Scepter and work towards a Bloodthirster. Sometimes I'll take that Vampiric Scepter and work towards a Sheen. Some people use the Sheen in this game, some people don't, but I like the Iceborne Gauntlet. It eventually makes it so when you hit the enemy champion, mostly a bruiser is what I use it for, that bruiser gets frozen in place for a little, or not frozen in place, but slowed down considerably, so it helps you get away from things, because somebody like Uter, you'll see later in this game, can definitely chase you down and be a real big hassle, and you don't want that. So, that Sheen also has the move Spellblade, which is a passive, which after using the ability, the next basic attack does bonus damage equal to 125% of the attack damage you have. It's enemies near the target and creates a field around the target for 2 seconds and slows them. That's the Iceborne Gauntlet part. So, that right there is very useful because his moves, not only do they give you increased attack speed, but when you chain them together like that, the Sheen really works well with it. Some people build into the Trinity Force, which really complements the items that you have, complements the abilities that you use, and that's what you want to do. Jax is another type of character that's like that, but here you can see we get a good initiate out of the jungle. Loki does what he does best and goes in there and gets some slows, and since our mid was smart enough to roam down for us, pick up another easy kill there. And once again, my only job as Ezreal at this point is to just land those skill shots. Know when to use my teleport to jump into the fight, and know when to use it to jump out. It should be mentioned, however, that his Q is not like his W. If you hit an enemy or a minion it won't go through the minion to hit the champion. So that's useful to know. Wouldn't want somebody to find that out the hard way. But like I said, any successful game with an AD carry is going to start with minion waves. Get that CS, folks. Get that CS. Eventually here you'll be able to see it slowed down, and you'll see the combos I drop here, but here I get stunned out. I gotta flash away, but drop that ult. Do never be afraid to use your ult. I mean, I use my ult to clear minion waves. It's on such a short cooldown. I think it's only like 60 seconds. So, I mean, it's not one of those ults you want to keep. It's one of those ults you want to use. And I don't know if that's necessarily the right way to go about things, but the most successful players I've seen with Ezreal are constantly using that and going in and doing the work. Here again, Loki starts and initiates the fight, and then Evelynn just happens to be there to clean it up, and because I got full health, I figure, why is this guy going to get away? But Tower has a different plan for me there. Take a little unnecessary damage, but with that Vampiric Scepter, it's not impossible to get back in it. Since I got a little lane control and a little lane help, put some hits on that tower. Try and swing the game our way early. So talking about the Sheen, you'll see a lot of builds out there called the Blue Ezreal that's kind of dependent on blue buff. You'll see at the end the masteries that I use do not work around this type of Ezreal build, but a lot of people do that build nowadays. I mean, I imagine it's very, very, very good. They call it Asian Ezreal because I guess the more Oriental people are playing it that way. So they go with like a Mana Immune type build, go into a Last Whisper and a Bloodthirster, and maybe pick up a Spirit of the Elder Lizard. So just something you might want to think of. Here you can see Uter bites off a whole bunch more than he can chew, and we try and do what we can do here, but Uter, they say that he can get kited easily. I don't know if they changed it up a little bit, fixed him, but here you can see he's not the easiest person to catch in the entire world. Keep in mind, folks, not every person with low health is an easy kill. In this particular case, I think we get a good initiate here. I put some DPS on the person who has the lowest health. I should probably be focusing down Vayne right away, but, you know, at that point I was just trying to secure a kill, and I figured Vayne has the ability to tumble away. And she does, so that works out good. You always want to be in the mindset, though, of leaving the support alone. Maybe not, you know, this early in the game, but for the most part, you're going to want to leave those support characters alone, especially if it's somebody like Taric. You get a Soraka out there, maybe you can burst her down if you can get through her heals, or a Sona, but you don't want to get in the habit of trying to kill supports. So that being said, I talked about Asian Ezreal. Let's go into a little bit more about what I end up doing with this character. In this particular instance, I'm going to go and I'm going to try and get a little bit tanky. I'm going to do that so I don't end up getting bursted down right away by enemy champions, and in the same process I'm going to be going for throw the Bloodthirster at some point. I want to be able to do the damage that I need to do. Here you can see if you take that extra second with your skill shots, you know, you'll land the things. I know it sounds silly, but this is what you want to go for, especially as a beginner. Don't think you got to blast them off right away. Take your time, line up your stuff, and get the kill. If anybody hear a dog's whining in the background, that's my puppy. She's retarded. The only way she knows how to vocalize right now is through whining, so... And again, I mean, there's not too much explanation to this. Vayne just ends up way outside of where she needs to be, and it's just a matter of them just letting me secure the kill. A good team will recognize the fact that, you know, when you got an AD carry who's doing his job, he should be able to put up enough DPS to where you want him to get the kills. Here I'm showing that I can be a decently effective Ezreal, and my team realizes, you know, that Evelynn has a couple kills. Why not hook me up here? That is how you shank an ultimate. Anybody who's seen my Ashe video knows that I'm not 100%, but that's real life. For the 158th time, I'm not a diamond player, but I'm going to be able to tell with that skill shot right there. Dropping bombs, got full health, not worried about nothing. At this point, this Vayne knows that I can do enough DPS to where she's not the biggest threat in the entire world, and We decide to do a little damage on the turret, but you gotta know when to fold them. It's a tough thing to realize that just because you're full on health doesn't mean that your team is capable of supporting you being full on health. Here you can see I get into the tower and do that. Always keep in mind, especially against an Ahri, that that heart thing will absolutely mess you up. That taunt is dirty and will ruin your day. Here's a good example of just throwing my ult down the middle. I didn't have a plan for it, so it's fun. You got a global, use your global. A lot of people lose sight of the fact that they're playing this game for fun, so every once in a while I like to just throw out a hope and a prayer. There you can see that Iceborne Gauntlet right in work right there. See how much that slowed down Uter? That's that goodness right there. And due to the plays of Loki, we pick up another kill on Uter. Uter still in this game ends up being quite the force to be reckoned with. And this game goes a good distance, so I know somebody recently asked if I would show them what to do in endgame instances. I could make a compilation video of that, but that'll take a little bit based on the fact that, you know, I gotta get the game footage to do that. So we'll get that later, or I'll just explain as we go. Here, we got Vayne completely isolated away, and I just absolutely nuke her. Like I said, don't save that ult. Melt down, people. That right there should be worth 2 kills. Good piece of advice is know who you're fighting. You see there, it was 3 of us and a Taric and a Uter. That's just too tanky, people. I don't have any items right now that are meant to destroy people who have lots of armor or lots of health, so play easy, back it up. We got some CS down here. Why not go after that? There's always an alternate thing to be doing. And if you plan on going back, don't save your moves. Waste them on the minions. Also, alternatively, you can go for the Blade of the Rune King. I enjoy the Blade of the Rune King. I've mentioned it several times. It's such a universal thing to use. Has some good stats, has some good effects, gives you that extra melt and power you need. And in this case, we have ourselves a Uter on our hands who is a little bit more to handle than we want. But he keeps letting us kill him, so why not? And as you can see here, they again just let me have the kill, and it's your job to take that kill. Now, I said earlier I don't have the skill set to take down an armored character like this, but I mean, if Tarek's going to run around and just let us do it, then why not? And the nuke! Drop that thing! Should have put some dubstep in the background and dropped the beat right there. That ult. The reason I play Ezreal, I don't necessarily main him by any means. I really like Ashe. I like her skill set. That was the first video I put out. You guys should probably understand that I like her a little bit, but Ezreal is, in my opinion, the most fun character in the game outside of Vi. My love for Vi is not something that I will ever be able to get away from, I don't think, but Ezreal is just such a fun skill set. You're never bored. You're just constantly having to land skill shots, and there's always something to do. Here you can see that Uter just takes advantage of me. That's what happens when people get tanky. I tried to drop my ult on him. I probably would have got a kill there if I would have got that thing off, but with that 1 second cast time, you can't always get what you want. Hopefully everyone appreciates this video based on the fact that my dog is probably terrorizing my house right now. That has to earn some YouTube brownie points, I think. Again, since this video is mostly designed for beginners, I don't have too much to teach anybody who's gold or above for sure, unless you get into some strategy type things, but that's not what this is for. If you need any tips or anything I'm not giving you, let me know, or there are plenty of avenues where you can go to find these things. LOL King is one of my favorite. I still use it to this day, so check it out. There's a good example. Dropping the ult on that thing. That does a lot of damage to them, and they are underneath the dragon right now. So not only they're taking damage from us, they get the dragon, but guess what's not worth a dragon? Having your whole team wipe. Keep in mind, global gold, although it's nice, is not worth your whole entire team dying. Now you can see we got all those kills, and we're gonna pull this tower, and we have a minion wave coming. So not only did we get all that, but I mean, Ahri has no leg to stand on here. She can't stop us from getting that tower. So that one dragon that they fought to keep ended up getting them 150 global gold, if I'm not mistaken. Ended up costing them 4 kills, or 4 deaths, and we got 2 towers out of the deal. Here's another good example of Uter just absolutely raping me, because apparently that's what he does. There's just no way to mess with him right here. There's no way I could turn around and do enough damage, and he's tanky enough to where it doesn't even matter. Apparently he feels that we're friends. The curse of the 80 carry. I should have recognized that he was coming after me really early and just absolutely abandoned ship. But that's the way that goes, and not much you can do about it. Toss my ult down there for fun. In those cases, like I said, you could probably save it if you want to be a pro player. I play for fun. I enjoy what I do. I'm almost silver ranked. Almost been silver ranked for a while now, but I don't plan on being diamond anytime soon, so I don't see anybody taking me any more serious than they already do. I'm fine with that. Pick up a red buff. 80 carries with red buffs. It helps a bunch. Nobody else is doing red buff. Nobody else wants red buff, so instead of just leaving it out on the field, be proactive. Use your buffs. Can't stress that enough. A lot of people don't feel like, that's... I don't want to say they don't feel like it's important, but... Oh, little technical difficulties there, and we're back. This video is not going to win YouTube Video of the Year. Not only did my mic drop there, my puppy's driving me crazy, and I had the entry screen there for no reason. Pull a BAFTA for this one. You guys didn't miss anything there. They just ended up giving us the lane for whatever reason. We ended up pushing, taking that middle tower, and they slowly started dying one by one, as you can see right here. Nothing fancy outside of the fact that Fizz and Lee Sin get out of here with no health at all. We snag an inhibitor, and we bring this into late game. At this point, I'm terrified of Uter. I got no help from anybody with him, so I'm trying to get away as best I can. I believe I try to pull something fancy here with a little into this one, back to that one thing, but at that point it was completely useless. Going for the jukes, getting nothing out of it, missing some skill shots. That Uter has me shook for real. But that's what happens. Somebody shows that they're able to kill you very easily, but I turn around and drop some bombs on him, and since he's so fixated on me, at this point I learned from my mistakes, and I'm so far out of that mess that there's just no way he can kill me. Sucks for Fizz, but there you go. Now, for anybody who's interested in what you do late game, at this point we have a Vayne who just got a triple kill. That should be something that sets off alarms on people, in people's heads. We have a Uter who is basically impossible to kill unless we have a full team fight going on, and we're slowly starting to fall behind. This means one of two things. You either got to start considering Baron buff, you definitely got to group up in these situations, and you got to start going for the win. You can't sit on this. Since we have such a decent lead here, there's just no way that we can let them start feeding and stay feeding. Now, it's not easy by any means, knowing when to back off, knowing when to go in. Those things are not easy things to learn, but the fact of the matter is, if you're in a lead, keep your lead. Try to push for the win. Because if we let this Renekton get any better, or we, let Vayne get any more fed than she already is, I mean, you can see there, she absolutely melted me for the second triple kill. That's because we were out kill hunting, trying to get our KDR, and it leads to a stolen pentakill. Oh, that's how friendships die. That is how friendships die. We don't make it any better, but that's life. Check out Mistakes 101 right here. This team surefire got themselves a Baron. Spoiler alert, we do win this game, so there is some silver lining here. That's with a Vayne getting a triple into a quadra kill. I think maybe because of the fact that she didn't get that penta, she lost faith in her team. easy to talk about what you should do when you get to the point in the game where it's like this, but as they're coming back and slowly starting to match us, you like I said, you really got to push. Our team needs to come up with some idea, because this is where teams fall apart in the Bronze Silver League. When your team doesn't have a plan and you don't have any teamwork involved at all, you can't do that at this point in the game. I mean, maybe even getting Dragon here isn't a good idea, but my idea as a player was to try and get rid of their Baron buff, make them sit on that Baron buff as long as they can, and by taking Dragon we at least take some gold away from them at the same time. Pop my ult, shoot it down the middle, try and keep them away from us for a little bit longer. Evelyn does a good job of staying away from things, but at the same time, this is a smart team play right here. Nobody needs to be initiating anything. Just stay under the tower and let them waste that Baron buff. Maybe we'll catch one of them out, maybe one of them will get stupid and initiate into the tower, but being smart in these kind of situations is what wins games. Every AD carry's dream right here, a massive amount of red. But sometimes you gotta let those things go. They come back middle, they want to use what they have here. We catch them under the tower like I said we would, and go in, and I'd like to say this is where Ezreal shines, but this is the Lee Sin show. Lee Sin does a lot of work there, doesn't take too much damage, and there goes their Baron buff. Now our team is way more powerful than theirs, being as we're a full 5 against their, I believe, 2 or 3 with Baron buff. They can't stop us at all. We're going to get that inhibitor, and there's not much they can do about that. Renekton, for some reason, decides to focus Fizz instead of me, and ends up stealing him a kill there, but at that point we've done enough damage to him where he makes him completely useless, and I will absolutely just melt down these guys. So, combination of both of us hitting them at the same time, me and Lee Sin, is enough to lose them the game. I mean, you can't just come back from that. At this point, they lost the Baron buff. There's no doubt as to who's the more powerful team. We lose a little Lee Sin action there. Oh no, never mind. Lee Sin pulls it off. And dies. I thought he died, that's right. Now you can see some of Lee Sin's plays here. Since I learned earlier on that Udyr is completely unkillable, I still try and kite him underneath the tower because I have a hard time learning lessons, but he gets the idea that that tower is going to be a pain in the ass, and I put some deeps on the old Vayne there and begin to return the favor to Udyr. That's that skill shot, by the way. Anybody who's played this game knows that that was the business. And that Vayne triple quadra turned into a Fizz triple, and this is where we start doing some work right here. I'll go straight for the deeps, get some armor pen. Now I got the Blade of the Rune King with a brutalizer. That was a situational buy. I went with the Infinity Edge because I was fed enough to get it. Felt like I could chance my way into some criticals that would do some serious damage, and get the brutalizer to do a little extra damage to the obvious huge amount of tankiness that these guys had going on. Grab me another red buff, get back to work here after these raids. An idle AD carry is the dead AD carry. That Vayne's definitely not just sitting around waiting for me to get fed. Especially as she just pulled 7 kills out of her ass in the last 10 minutes. I believe I've said it before in prior videos, good players always counter bad players. So, as long as you play better than the person you're playing against, you don't have a problem. And seeing as we have full buff control, you guys can see here in a second how much that makes it up. Since I'm all skill shots, I go about frustrating the hell out of the other team by just dropping bombs on them over and over again. They can't do anything but take damage here, and it's just a matter of time before one of them comes out and tries to do something. This Udyr just wants to die, and I know how much he wants to kill me, so figure I bring him into the fight, drop a perfect ult on him, get all the damage you can get out of that. Unfortunately, it tapers off as it hits more people, but still, full ult across the middle is all you can ask for. I get out of there when things are too bad with my double. Go back, because Ahri apparently wants to be in the fight, and hey, why not help out the team when you can, huh? I got an ace last time, why not give Lee Sin the ace this time? And this is where you can bust out the pinata and start the party. This game is over. Pad my stats a little bit, get some more CS. And really all you can hope for in a ranked game. There's nothing like having a good game, you know? You don't want to just have a game where you win right away. Was going to teleport over into their base and be a douchebag about things, but you know, you can't always get what you want once again. I hope you all enjoyed my Ezreal video. There's some masteries at the end for you there. Like and subscribe if you'd like.